In the quiet, unassuming expanse of suburbia, where the rhythmic hum of everyday life lulls us into a sense of impregnable safety, dark truths can lie in wait. A simple gas station, a fleeting stop on countless journeys, often feels like the most innocuous of places brightly lit, constantly monitored. Yet, it is within these very bastions of the mundane that the fabric of peace can be violently torn. When the digital eyes of a security system capture the precise moment an ordinary night becomes an extraordinary nightmare, the raw footage tells a story far more chilling than any spoken word. Every flicker of light, every subtle shift in shadow holds a fragment of a truth no one anticipated. What hidden menace can emerge so swiftly and silently that it erases a vibrant life in a matter of seconds, transforming a routine stop into a crime scene that leaves behind only unsettling silence and agonizing question? The sleepy suburb of Oakhaven, nestled against the cool, embracing foothills, often felt like a world apart from the relentless churn of the city. On this particular Tuesday night, the air hung heavy and still carrying the first crisp whispers of autumn. Inside the Night Owl Express gas station, a beacon of fluorescent light against the encroaching darkness, Sarah Jenkins was nearing the close of her shift. At 20 years old, her life stretched out before her, a vibrant tapestry of university studies and burgeoning dreams. A bright smile, often freely given, was one of her most defining features. She moved with a practiced, almost balletic ease through the aisles, her hands familiar with the contours of chip bags and candy bar wrappers as she restocked shelves. At the counter, her fingers danced over the barcode scanner, ringing up a lone customer's coffee, a fleeting anonymous interaction in the quiet hours. The digital clock above the till glowed with stark precision. 11:47 p.m. Just over an hour remained until her shift ended. Her thoughts, untethered, drifted to the comforting silence of her small apartment, to the textbooks waiting patiently on her desk, and to the last few chapters of the historical novel she was deeply engrossed in. The automated voice of the gas station, a bland comfort in the vast quiet, repeated its accustomed thank you for choosing Night Owl Express as the customer departed. From their strategic positions, the gas station's surveillance cameras maintained their ubiquitous, unblinking vigil, capturing every angle, every movement within the brightly lit confine. They watched over the gleaming aisles, the rows of refrigerated drinks, the coffee station, and the deserted pumps outside, encompassing every corner of this small, contained world behind the glass doors. Beyond the station's illuminated bubble streetlights hummed, casting long, skeletal shadows that stretched across the empty parking lot and into the quiet residential streets. No distant sirens broke the profound stillness. No screech of tires pierced the autumn air. Only the low, constant thrum of the refrigerated drinks cooler and the soft rustle of Sarah's uniform as she meticulously organized the display. In that moment, under the artificial glare of the gas station lights, the quiet night felt boundless, undisturbed. Yet just outside the frame of the ever-watching cameras, a shadow waited, poised to shatter the ordinary into irreparable fragments. As Wednesday morning dawned, painting the eastern sky in muted hues of gray, and rose, Mr. Arthur Finch pulled his weathered pickup truck into the Night Owl Express parking lot. At precisely 5:00 a.m., his ritualistic stop for coffee and the morning paper was as ingrained in his construction job commute as the highway itself. He anticipated the familiar, comforting hum of the coffee machines, perhaps the faint scent of stale pastries, and certainly the cheerful "Good morning, Arthur" from the overnight clerk. But this morning, the expected greeting hung unspoken in the crisp air. The automatic doors hissed open to an unnerving quietude that instantly prickled at his senses. The air inside felt heavy-laden with an unnatural stillness. Coffee pots on the counter stood cold and empty, their warming plates dark. The newspaper stand, typically a neat stack of the day's headlines, lay untended, a few scattered copies fanned haphazardly across the floor. Sarah was nowhere to be seen. Her absence was a stark, disquieting anomaly. "Hello, anyone here?" His gruff voice, usually so steady, echoed in the desolate space swallowed by the silent aisles of packaged snacks and dormant coolers. No reply. His gaze slowly sweeping the deserted interior, snagged on the till drawer. It lay slightly ajar, a handful of crumpled bills spilling from its mouth like discarded secrets. A knot tightened in his stomach. Then his eyes fixed on it on the pristine white counter, a smear. Dark, viscous, unmistakably crimson. It stretched a horrifying trail leading away towards the back office door. A cold dread coiled in his gut, eclipsing the early morning chill. Every instinct screamed at him to retreat. He backed out slowly, his movements stiff, his hand fumbling for his phone. The familiar weight of the receiver suddenly felt foreign heavy, with the terrifying implications of what he had witnessed. His fingers, trembling, finally punched the numbers. 911, he rasped, his voice raw, fractured by a tremor he couldn't control. "I think something's happened at the gas station. The clerk. She's not here. And there's blood." Quiet morning moments ago, a tableau of predictable suburban routine had been irrevocably shattered, replaced by a rising clamor of apprehension and the chilling certainty that horror had unfolded in the silent hours. Minutes later, the first patrol car, its sirens silenced blocks away to maintain a tactical approach, glided into the Night Owl Express parking lot. Officer Ben Carter, a 10-year veteran of the Oak Haven Police Department, emerged from the patrol vehicle, his face a mask of professional gravity. He was immediately met by Mr. Arthur Finch, who stood beside his pickup truck, a figure of agitated pallor, his hands clenched. Inside the store, the unsettling silence persisted, thick and heavy, a stark contrast to the flashing blue lights, now painting the gas station's exterior in an eerie, pulsing glow. Carter's tactical flashlight beam cut through the pre-dawn gloom, illuminating the stark reality of what lay within. Display racks lay overturned, a scattered colorful cascade of candy bars and snacks littering the floor. A shattered coffee pot, shards of glass, gleaming ominously, lay near the service counter. A wide, sticky footprint stained the polished linoleum, leading the eye past the refrigerated drinks cooler. But it was the trail of crimson, undeniable and chilling, that demanded immediate attention, winding from the counter and disappearing into the staff-only corridor at the back. "We've got a situation here." Officer Carter's voice was clipped professional, his gaze sweeping over the scene with the practiced eye of experience. His jaw tightened. "Call homicide. We have a missing person, likely a forced abduction, and a definite blood trail." Within moments, the methodical presence of the crime scene unit began to fill the space. Forensic technicians, in their pristine white suits, moved with somber purpose, their equipment cases clicking open flashlights, cutting through the artificial glare. The convenience store's pristine order had been violently undone, giving way to a scene of raw chaos. Every overturned item, every smeared surface, every crimson drop on the floor now served as a silent, agonizing question. But more profound than the visible destruction, Sarah's utter absence resonated within the space, a stark, chilling void. The formal inquiry into her fate had officially begun, a desperate race against an unknown clock. Detective Ethan Riley moved through the controlled chaos of the crime scene, his seasoned eyes etched with the memory of too many sleepless nights already scanning for what others overlooked. He cut directly to the chase, bypassing preliminary reports. "Find me the DVR," he instructed Officer Carter, his voice a low, gravelly command. "The truth of this place, the real witness, it's in those cameras." The gas station surveillance system, a network of 12 high-definition cameras meticulously positioned, held the promise of revelation. Detective Olivia Vance, with her sharp technical acumen, already had her workstation established. Her fingers moved with focused precision, connecting cables, initiating the painstaking extraction of the digital footage. The viewing screen, a stark portal into the recent past, flickered to life. And there she was, Sarah Jenkins, vibrant and alive, captured in the mundane rhythms of her nightly routine. The digital timeline began to unfurl second by agonizing second, revealing the final ordinary moments of her shift. At 11:47 p.m., the timestamp stark in the corner of the frame, Sarah offered a warm professional smile to a customer. 8 minutes later, at 11:55 p.m., the camera showed her tidying a magazine rack, her movements fluid and unhurried. The scene presented a predictable, quiet, and almost hypnotic lull. Then, at 12:03 a.m., a disruption subtle yet profound. A dark, older model sedan, a two-door marked by distinctive rust patches above its rear wheel wells, slowly eased into the far corner of the parking lot. It angled itself deliberately, partially obscured by a large delivery truck. The vehicle idled its engine, a low, thrumming sound, barely audible on the enhanced, grainy video. No one emerged. Headlights cut sharp, predatory angles into the darkness, but the figures within remained cloaked in shadow. In the viewing room, the detectives watched collectively, holding their breath, as this seemingly innocuous car transformed into a chilling focal point of terrifying anticipation. This silent sentinel, hidden at the periphery, felt more menacing than any overt act of aggression could have. Each passing second amplified the foreboding silence emanating from the unmoving vehicle. The digital clock on the surveillance footage continued its relentless count, each advancing second, charting the irreversible transformation of Sarah Jenkins's life. In the hushed viewing room, detectives remained transfixed, their gazes riveted to the glowing screen. At 12:15 a.m., the driver's side door of the dark sedan, once an unmoving presence, finally swung open. A figure emerged, tall and lean, enveloped in dark clothing, seemingly designed to melt into the night. Their face remained hidden, swallowed by the deep shadow of a pulled-up hood and the low brim of a baseball cap. The individual moved with an unnervingly deliberate calm, veering not towards the brightly lit main entrance, but deliberately around the back of the building. Their path was calculated systematically, taking them out of sight of the primary street-facing cameras. The only sound interrupting the profound silence in the viewing room was the faint, almost imperceptible whir of the video playback. Minutes later, at 12:20 a.m., the hooded figure reappeared, now at the discreet side entrance, the one typically reserved for staff and deliveries. With an unnerving proficiency, they manipulated the lock. A soft, distinct click, barely audible over the low ambient hum of the gas station's machinery, carried through the speakers. At 12:21 a.m., the figure slipped inside a shadow, dissolving into the muted tones of the interior. The camera angle inside the store shifted, offering a new, clearer perspective, the individual entering the main retail space. Their movements were acutely focused, a direct trajectory towards the counter, where Sarah, momentarily distracted, was counting change in the till. The screen then captured the brutal, swift escalation, a sudden blurring movement, a violent struggle that lasted mere instants, followed by a muffled cry, barely discernible on the audio track. The figure's hand clamped brutally over Sarah's mouth, pulling her violently backward out of the camera's view towards the dark, unseen depths of the staff corridor. The ruthless efficiency of the assault, its cold, calculating precision, left the seasoned detectives in the room with a profound, hollow ache that transcended mere professional detachment. This was no desperate robbery gone wrong. This was a premeditated abduction executed with a chilling lack of hesitation. Its ultimate purpose remained terrifyingly unknown. With the horrifying surveillance footage now serving as their irrefutable guide, the Oak Haven Police Department launched a full-scale manhunt. Detective Riley, his jaw set in a grim line, coordinated an immediate, comprehensive response. He swiftly organized search teams, dispatching officers to scour every conceivable route leading away from the Night Owl Express. Their focus sharpened on secluded, unpaved roads and forgotten areas, any place where a vehicle might have been abandoned or where a victim might have been tragically left. Inside the gas station, forensic teams moved with methodical intensity. Their flashlights cut through the cold morning air, illuminating dust motes dancing in the artificial light, each beam seeking out a crucial detail, a hidden trace. They meticulously combed every inch of the scene. Beneath an overturned candy rack, they recovered Sarah's employee ID badge, a small laminated symbol of her stolen routine. Tucked subtly under a shelf, a single pearl earring shimmered its delicate beauty, starkly out of place, definitively not one Sarah was known to wear. Most crucially, on the till drawer itself, a partial smudged fingerprint emerged. It belonged to neither Sarah nor any other Night Owl Express employee. Every recovered item, each minuscule trace, became a silent piece of a horrifying puzzle. Outside, Detective Olivia Vance led a coordinated canvass of surrounding businesses. Her objective was clear: to unearth any peripheral camera footage that might have captured the distinctive dark sedan from a different angle, offering a clearer glimpse of vital detail previously missed. Every phone call to the anonymous tip line, no matter its initial perceived value, was logged and meticulously cross-referenced. Every neighbor within a 2-block radius was interviewed, their routine scrutinized for any deviation, any flicker of memory that might hold a piece of the truth. The palpable energy of the investigation was one of urgent desperation, an unrelenting race against dwindling time. It was fueled by the chilling reality depicted on the video, the stark visual evidence of a young life abruptly snatched away. The department's resources were stretched thin, strained by the sheer scope of the search. Yet with every passing minute, the resolve to find Sarah and to apprehend her abductor steadily intensified, firming their collective grip on the grim task at hand. The chilling uncertainty bore down on the investigators, but the pursuit of answers was absolute. The news of Sarah Jenkins's disappearance tore through Oak Haven like a wildfire, engulfing its quiet streets in a searing wave of shock and disbelief. For a town that prided itself on its tranquility, such a brutal act felt like a deep violation of its very soul. Within hours, Sarah's face, her bright, innocent smile, became an inescapable image broadcast across social media feeds and local news channels alike. Before the relentless glare of television cameras, A figure of profound physical pain emerged Carol Jenkins, Sarah's mother. Her every movement radiated a raw, visceral agony, yet her voice, though cracking with unshed tears, held an unyielding resolve. "Please," she pleaded, her voice reaching out to every corner of the community, "if you've seen anything at all, help us bring our Sarah home. She's my everything." Her words, delivered with such heartfelt desperation, resonated profoundly through the close-knit community. Oak Haven, once a bastion of serene predictability, rallied with immediate fervent purpose. Volunteer search parties swiftly fanned out their hopeful calls of Sarah, echoing through local parks, across abandoned lots, and into the dense quiet of wooded areas. Posters bearing Sarah's image appeared on every lamppost, every storefront window, a silent, desperate call for her return. The local high school, where Sarah had been a beloved tutor, became a focal point for collective grief, holding a candlelight vigil. The flickering flames cast a solemn glow on tear-streaked faces, a testament to the shared sorrow. A chilling realization settled over the town, a sudden understanding that malevolence could penetrate even the safest, most idyllic of havens. The collective grief and desperate hope ignited a unified resolve, transforming Oak Haven into a community bound in a singular, agonizing quest. Her mother's raw appeal echoed in every household, their shared humanity bound by the gnawing uncertainty that now consumed Oak Haven. The town found itself on a precipice, staring into the bewildering void of the unknown, its peaceful facade irrevocably fractured. Days bled into a harrowing week, each passing 24 hours, deepening the agonizing uncertainty that clung to Oak Haven like a shroud. The dark sedan, a spectral presence on the surveillance footage, remained stubbornly elusive, its image a constant frustrating loop in the minds of the investigators. Leads went cold, tips proved baseless, and the initial surge of hope began to wane, replaced by a quiet, gnawing desperation. Then a phone call, sharp and sudden, pierced the accumulating quiet of the detective's office. "Riley, I think I've got something." Detective Vance's voice, usually a model of composed professionalism, now held a barely contained tremor. Hours had blurred into a tireless vigil for Vance, her eyes burning from staring at screens, working in tandem with an FBI forensic video analyst. Their mission to painstakingly pull clarity from the murky depths of every blurry, distant frame captured across Oak Haven's security networks. Their latest focus, a camera across the street from the Night Owl, Express affixed to an unassuming dry cleaner. This camera, long overlooked in the daily rhythms of the street, provided a slightly different, more distant vantage of the gas station parking lot. Through a persistent haze of static and pixelation, in a flash of insight, akin to a sudden electrical current, Vance spotted a minute, peculiar detail. On the sedan's rear, barely discernible amidst the digital noise, rested a bumper sticker. It depicted a cartoonish, almost whimsical, snarling wolf's head. "It's a niche band's logo," the analyst confirmed, his voice clinical but tinged with a hint of triumph. "Wolf's Bane. Very distinctive." The name resonated, a sudden, tangible link in a baffling chain of unknowns. This small, seemingly insignificant detail proved to be the pivotal fracture in the case's impenetrable barrier, a digital breadcrumb intentionally or unintentionally left by the perpetrator. The hunt intensified, suddenly propelled forward by this unexpected gift from the pixels. Armed with the distinctive logo, investigators immediately launched a targeted search of local vehicle registrations, cross-referencing against databases of similar merchandise. The search rapidly narrowed, zeroing in on Marcus Thorne. A transient with a history of minor offenses, Thorne was known to frequent Oak Haven's outskirts, residing in a dilapidated motorhome, discreetly parked beyond town limits. The digital ghost, once a mere blur on a screen, now coalesced into a tangible identity, a name, a vehicle, and a location. The faint flicker of hope, almost extinguished by despair, ignited into a determined blaze, now guiding the tenacious pursuit of accountability. Marcus Thorne was located less than 12 hours after the critical breakthrough. His dark sedan pulled over on a desolate stretch of highway dozens of miles from Oak Haven. The distinctive Wolfsbane sticker, a glaring symbol of his undoing, gleamed unequivocally from his rear bumper under the midday sun. He was calm when Detective Riley and Vance approached his vehicle, almost unnervingly so. His hands rested lightly on the steering wheel, his expression placid. "Officers," he began, his voice smooth, devoid of any discernible anxiety. "What can I do for you?" It was the practiced ease of a man accustomed to navigating suspicion. Hours later, in the stark fluorescent glare of the Oak Haven Police Department's interrogation room, Thorne sat across from Detective Riley. His posture was relaxed, almost languid, his hands folded placidly on the cool surface of the table, a picture of manufactured innocence. "Gas station?" he asked, his eyes wide, feigning profound confusion. "No, officer. I've never been to Oak Haven. Haven't been near one of those places for weeks." He offered a small, disarming shrug, a gesture of casual forgetfulness. Detective Riley, his face unreadable, simply nodded. He watched Thorne, allowing the silence to stretch before playing the first critical piece of evidence. The surveillance footage. Mr. Thorne, Riley's voice, was low, steady, a quiet assertion of undeniable fact. "Your vehicle. Your distinctive bumper sticker." For a fleeting second, Thorne's placid demeanor fractured. A tremor, almost imperceptible, tightened the muscles around his jaw, but it vanished as quickly as it appeared, replaced by a dismissive wave of his hand. "Coincidence," he muttered the word, a flimsy shield. "Plenty of those stickers around, I imagine." He then launched into an elaborate, rapidly shifting alibi. He claimed he had been visiting a sick aunt in a neighboring state, then corrected himself, asserting he'd been camping miles away, then insisted he had spent the entire night at a remote truck stop. Each statement contradicted the last, each fabrication, a thread in a transparent web of lies, slowly tightening around him. Riley leaned forward, his gaze unwavering, cutting through the thin veneer of Thorne's deception. "Mr. Thorne," he stated, his voice a quiet hammer blow of truth, "Sarah Jenkins is missing. And we have second-by-second footage of you inside that store at the exact time she vanished." The air in the confined room grew heavy, thick, with the weight of Thorne's increasingly flimsy denials, the space shrinking around him as the walls of his deceit began to crumble. Detective Riley watched Marcus Thorne intently, his own expression a stoic mask, as Thorne desperately clung to his increasingly flimsy narrative. He fought to maintain control despite the suffocating pressure of accumulating proof. The very air in the interrogation room thickened with unspoken tension, a silent battle of wills played out in micro-expressions and strained silence. Then Riley delivered the final devastating truth. "Your DNA, Mr. Thorne." His voice, flat and unyielding, cut through the manufactured calm, was found at the Night Owl Express, under Sarah Jenkins' fingernails. The words struck with the force of a physical impact, stripping away every carefully constructed layer of Thorne's composure. The carefully maintained facade shattered. Thorne's eyes, suddenly wild, darted back and forth like trapped birds seeking an impossible escape. His hands twitched compulsively, flexing and unclenching against the table's cool surface. He shifted, agitated in his seat, his gaze unable to meet Riley's unwavering stare. A desperate, mumbled fabrication clawed its way out. She came at me. I just tried to defend myself. His story pivoted, a panicked lurch from complete denial to a twisted claim of self-defense, then collapsing into a rambling, incoherent account of a struggle he insisted he hadn't initiated. Without a word, Detective Olivia Vance, a silent but potent presence in the room, cued a zoomed-in still from the initial surveillance video. The image graphically depicted Thorne clearly initiating the assault, his hands already on Sarah, pulling her back before she could even register the threat. The frozen frame on the screen stood as a stark, irrefutable contradiction to his latest desperate lie. The meticulously reconstructed timeline, assembled frame by agonizing frame, left no conceivable refuge for his increasingly frantic fictions. Confronted by the overwhelming, irrefutable evidence, the carefully built mask of the deceptive suspect finally crumbled. It fell away to reveal not a trace of remorse, but a chilling, calculating resignation. His shoulders slumped, a subtle but profound surrender. The subsequent silence in the room was absolute, deafening in its finality. The quiet, undeniable admission of a monstrous act, hanging heavy in the air, sealing his fate. Months later, the Oak Haven courthouse hummed with a tense, palpable energy. Every seat in the public gallery was filled, reporters jostled at the back, their pens poised, cameras ready. In the front row, Sarah Jenkins's family sat together, their faces marked by a deep, enduring sorrow, yet simultaneously radiating a quiet, unyielding resolve. Marcus Thorne, now stripped of his artifice, sat at the defense table, his eyes vacant, reflecting nothing. Prosecution meticulously presented their case, building a chilling second-by-second reconstruction of that terrifying night. The stark, undeniable surveillance footage was projected onto a massive screen, revealing Thorne's deliberate movements, Sarah's last moments of ordinary life, and the brutal, swift abduction. Detective Riley took the stand, his testimony firm and factual, delivered without overt emotion, yet imbued with the solemn weight of the painstaking investigation he had meticulously led. He detailed the recovery of Sarah's ID, the unusual pearl earring, and the crucial damning fingerprint. He recounted the pivotal digital breakthrough, the tireless hours spent enhancing pixels, and the inevitable unmasking of Marcus Thorne. Then Carol Jenkins, Sarah's mother, was called to the stand. She walked with quiet dignity, her gaze immediately finding Marcus Thorne across the courtroom, holding it. Her voice, though trembling with the raw edge of a mother's grief, resonated with heartbreaking clarity through the silent courtroom. Sarah was vibrant, she stated, her eyes brimming with unshed tears never leaving Thorne. She was sunshine, a daughter, a sister, a friend who illuminated every life she touched. And you, Mr. Thorne, you extinguished that light. You stole our future, our joy, our very breath. Her victim impact statement transcended legal formality. It was a raw, unfiltered outpouring of grief, a desperate plea for justice, and a fierce, unwavering demand for accountability. She described the gaping void Sarah's absence had left, the endless nights of fear, the waking hours consumed by agonizing uncertainty. The jury, their faces grim and contemplative, after weeks of testimony and graphic evidence, deliberated for only a few hours. An almost unbearable tension permeated the courtroom, as if a collective breath was held captive. When the foreman rose and the verdict was read guilty on all counts, a collective shuddering sigh rippled through the gallery. It was a visceral wave of release, a profound exhalation of tension, held for far too long, mingling relief with deep sorrow. Marcus Thorne remained impassive, betraying no discernible emotion, his face a cold, unyielding mask. The machinery of justice, slow but inexorable, had at last delivered its answer, its long shadow now settling over all involved. The conviction of Marcus Thorne brought a profound measure of closure to the shattered community of Oak Haven, yet the scars, deep and indelible, remained. The Night Owl Express gas station site of such brutal violation eventually reopened its doors. Its bright lights once again hummed against the encroaching night, and its cheerful signage promised convenience, but it could never entirely obscure the grim shadow of what had transpired within its walls. Customers returned slowly, tentatively, but a quiet reverence now permeated the space, a palpable sense of remembrance for the innocent life taken there. Near the entrance, a small polished brass plaque was affixed to the brickwork, etched simply with Sarah Jenkins's name and dates, a silent, enduring mark of a bright life brutally extinguished. For Carol Jenkins, Sarah's mother, the verdict offered a fragile, hard-won reprieve. It was not a return to what was lost, but an affirmation of accountability for her profound grief. From the crucible of her unimaginable pain, Carol forged a new purpose. She channeled her anguish into tireless advocacy, establishing the Sarah's Light Foundation, a beacon of hope and practical support for victims of violent crime and their families. Through the foundation, she spoke relentlessly, her voice once raw with agony now resonating with a quiet strength. She shared Sarah's story, not for retribution, but as a compelling narrative of enduring loss, and, crucially, as a testament to the unyielding resilience of the human spirit. Carol's work blossomed into a living memorial, a defiant stand against the darkness, transforming personal tragedy into a source of solace and fortitude for countless others walking a similar agonizing path. Her determination to prevent another family from enduring such suffering became a powerful force for enduring change in the community. Detective Ethan Riley, a man forever marked by the indelible imprints of the cases he investigated, eventually moved on to other grim puzzles, other desperate searches. Yet, the memory of Sarah Jenkins, her vibrant smile from the surveillance footage, often drifted back to him, a stark, haunting contrast to the grim reality of her disappearance. It served as a constant reminder of the profound human cost of crime and the ceaseless vigilance required to bring its perpetrators to justice. He carried the collective weight of every victim, every grieving family, but Sarah's case, with its chilling second-by-second precision, resonated deeply within him. It underscored the fragile boundary between order and chaos and the unwavering commitment necessary to re-establish equilibrium. He knew the struggle against such darkness was unending, but the success in Sarah's case stood as a quiet affirmation of his purpose, an undeniable proof that meticulous police work could pierce through the most intricate webs of deception. The gas station timeline case, a meticulous reconstruction of crime captured in digital detail, quickly ascended to become a benchmark, a definitive case study taught in law enforcement academies. It stood as a potent demonstration of the transformative power of digital evidence and the sheer relentless tenacity of dedicated police work. Investigators across the nation studied its granular detail, learning from the systematic unraveling of a predator's every calculated move. It imprinted upon them the critical importance of every pixel, every fleeting shadow, every moment captured by the omnipresent eyes of surveillance. But for Oak Haven, it was far more than a mere case study. It was a profound wound that, even as it slowly scarred over, left an indelible mark on the town's collective consciousness. It served as a poignant caution of life's inherent fragility, of how swiftly peace could be shattered by an unseen malevolence. Yet in the wake of such darkness, Oak Haven also discovered its own steadfast pursuit of justice, its deep capacity for collective grief, and its inspiring resilience. The town learned to coexist with the echoes, the quiet, knowing understanding that while evil might strike and its shadow might linger, it would not in the end prevail. The spirit of Oak Haven, battered but unbroken, stood as a living testament to Sarah Jenkins and to the enduring light that even the deepest darkness could not extinguish. Though innocence is lost, the unwavering pursuit of truth ensures that even the most hidden evils are brought into the light. To witness more cases where justice emerges from the digital shadows, subscribe to Shadow Files. Don't forget to subscribe to Shadow Files and hit the notification bell.